Today, or many days due to the length of how long it's going to take to make this video, I'm going to look back on the tradition of trailers. And when it comes to gaming similar to film, there's nothing that intrigues you better than a good trailer. In order to work, it has to be satisfying to the viewer, but also leaving them wanting more. And whether it takes live action or stop motion nightmare fuel, the ones that get people the most interested is from Grand Theft Auto, along with the commercials and teasers that come with it. So before this intro gets longer than the topic I want to talk about, let's obey the timeline and go back to its debut back in 1997 with Grand Theft Auto. Before the time we got Coke and popcorn ready to watch the stream that will show off the next big installment of the upcoming sequel or prequel or midquel, or just for the first one in the franchise. But GTA 1 never had anything like that, so we'll move on to London 1969. And for what it is in comparison to now, it's pretty stylish, showing the best of 60s London by showing the worst. I'm personally fascinated with games that are period pieces, even if it's not that authentic. London 1961 is a no-show, so I'll move on. GTA 2 is something else. Set in the year 2013, before that was cool, it used live-action footage from a short movie that helped promote the game. For its budget, it does a good job trying to masquerade as a high-budget Hollywood film, introducing the main protagonist, including different gangs. It's got the glory of being the black sheep, making it so infamous even today. You can find the entire video on YouTube, you should check it out. GTA 3 is where the series' popularity boomed, venturing into the realm of 3D, and boy did it go full-blown cinematic, with the use of classical music that beautifully contrasts the mayhem and scale of this new Liberty City. At the same time even introducing us to some of the characters with their recognizable celebrity voices. It was a perfect way for Rockstar to say, hey, you know everything you love about this series? We're taking it to the next level and not going down. And it's still controversial as ever. And this was before a time where pubs and devs saw controversy as a godsend for attention. It remains one of the most influential trailers ever that defines the way we get exposed to it. Even the condensed TV spot is pretty brilliant. And then 1 year later we go back to the 80s with Vice City, blasted with Flock of Seagulls I Ran. This is where the company put more emphasis on multiple trailers, with this just scratching the surface of everything you could do on this virtual palette. The nostalgia feel that comes with it really helps create some hype. It gets your attention more than anything from Double Clef FM. Again, the whole thing not only shows off characters, but puts more of an intention on culture, kind of bringing us more realism. The game is something that players still remember even today, with its addition of many things like choppers and, well, choppers. Including the star himself, Tommy Vercetti, who not only walks towards the camera once, but twice. Now if that isn't badass, I don't know what is. The Summer Madness one, known as the first trailer, really shows off some atmosphere, and also the different mood you'll get from the city. It's really relaxing, with its paradise feeling. It does a good job of kind of demonstrating the variety of sandbox games. Then the gaming scene comes across San Andreas. That was their most epic attempt compared to the previous entries, including games in general. It was huge. I mean, we weren't just confined to a city. The whole thing was just a small glimpse of what you were going to go through. I mean, those shots of San Fierro and Las Venturas really make you appreciate how vast it is, with Axl Rose vocalizing the madness. One of the things I really appreciated looking back on it is the editing. It's a 10 out of 10 job. It even accomplishes getting you excited about bicycles, well, it is hinted upon. The whole thing just scratches the surface. I mean, they'll show you a jet, but you don't realize until you play it that you can actually achieve altitudes higher than anything before. With the other trailers kind of showing off the different 90s aesthetics of the time, such as the Tupac version hitting on the whole LA gangbanger thing. A lot of them really go big. Well, you have to if you're gonna prepare us for the introduction of Big Smoke. Again, with the train, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. With GTA Advance, they humbly return to their 2D roots. The whole thing is short and visually limited, but that perfectly matches the whole product. With the evolution of the handheld game, we return to Liberty City with its many familiar faces, and Tony's unfamiliar torso in its many stories. GTA Liberty City stories. About that time, the GTA trailers kind of became an event, especially with the rise of video websites. Even though it's set in 1998, it's not trying to be like its previous outings. In that sense, it feels like the other previous Liberty City game, GTA 3. Unfortunately, Robert Loshard didn't reprise his role as Ray. But we can achieve levels of Jesus-hood and try and forgive. The music isn't anything special. The version with the Shook Ones, Part 2, is a different story though. It's a great tune that I was long overdue to be introduced to. It does a really great job repping the mean street vibe of the map. Vice City Stories returned us back to South Florida with its coked up and morally questionable people with various 80s classics, and they're not trying to be the tiniest bit subtle. That's the power of the Phil Collins way. And then there's San Andreas Stories. Oh wait, that never happened. I'm still ticked off about that. The new console generation would bestow us with 2008's GTA 4. About that time, Rockstar had become one of the most biggest loved gaming companies out there, and they weren't just wanting to make a trailer that would contend with the other big releases, but even their own other franchises. And they kind of delivered with that. Known as the Things Will Be Different trailer, it created a real buzz, showing off the dynamic angles and sped up shots of the concrete jungle as though it was alive, with the masses of people and vehicles, as though it was blood running through its veins, along with that mighty angelic music that kind of doesn't fit with the other Journey songs. It was their biggest attempt for realism. It's one hell of a spectacle until Nico starts his soliloquy that kind of kills all attention. The next trailer that came after it was pretty disappointing though, even showing off how dull and gritty the whole experience was going to be. Eventually the DLC countered that with the expansion of Liberty City's lore. It did offset the mundane view of Nico's American redemption. In my books, it put the life back into the franchise, with bikers and club life whose crime isn't that well organized. Chinatown Wars came next, and even though it was 2D again and, well, 2.5D, there's something strange. Damn. It was strangely refreshing. Maybe it was the new touchscreen thing or an interesting style. It could get you pretty excited to play things back on a handheld console or pad. Then eventually color was put back into things with GTA 5. Instead of something that felt like 3 games about one story, this time it felt like one game with 3 stories, meaning 3 characters with one trailer dedicated to them. Seeing the trio of protagonists set in the biggest map to date was kind of a hit and miss. It showed things going back to form, but at the same time, not really giving us anything new. Here and there would be a new concept that would tease you. It's basically the same old things again. What I could tell, the first one that hit the scene really did a good job of showing off the Society of Los Santos, as though the illusion of NPCs living their lives, even though you didn't see them doing it. All of these are definitely visual feasts, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't capitalize on the whole myth-hunting community. Like if they'd linger on a creepy particular place, giving the impression of, hey, maybe you should explore around here, as though we've hidden anything paranormal, supernatural. I don't think any of the tracks really work, but again, that's just my personal taste in music. And at last, there's the ones for GTA Online. I guess they're all good, there's nothing much to say. It was a real hoot to see the Black Madonna there. So that's everything I have to unpack. That's the history of GTA trailers, well, my history, and right now we can see how far we've come. And even though you can argue there are better trailers out there, there's one thing all of them don't have in common. They're not GTA. So let's see how GTA 6 are going to fill those boots. Thanks for watching.